challenges me to see what's going on with the people who I'm working with online. So, and as Carol said, I teach people what they need to know and what they need to do to become their own healers. Basically, that's how it works. There's no magic bullet. There's no singular magic practice that somebody can do to fully heal from a chronic condition. So I like the detective work involved. That's what I like the most. I'm just gonna I'm gonna share my screen for just a moment here so I can give you some information. I'm disabled screen sharing. Can you turn that on or no?
Oh, sure. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Wait.
And, it's nice to be here with all of you. I'm really happy that we're all here together. So let me try this. I'm still disabled. Okay, I don't need to do it. It's just an introductory slide for, oh, there it is. Let's see what happens here. Okay. Where did it go? Let's see. Here we go. Here we go. So this is just an introductory slide. Get unstuck. Getting unstuck is that's what all of us in health and life and coaching, and we're all helping people get unstuck. And everybody who already spoke about what turns you guys on, you're helping people get unstuck for whatever reason they are stuck. And I just wanted to point out that if you want some tips on stress and pain relief, you can go to meetdrbob.com, and and if you want to check out my background, you can go to drbobtalks.com. From there, you can schedule a consultation if you want on the calendar tab. And there's my phone number and email address. That's also in the chats. And what I thought I would do is just show you quickly. I have these digital business cards. This is drbob.com. You just go there, you click on that, and you can get the gifts of stress and pain relief and some other things. And then if you go to drbobtalks.com, this is my professional speaker card, which I love to do as well. And down at the bottom, there's have a conversation with me. You can click on that, click on the image, and then it takes you to my calendar and you're all set to go. So with that, I'm going to stop the screen share. Just wanted to show you how to work with that information. And we'll put this back up for just a moment. And of course, in the chat, you have the other contact information there as well. So it was really great to hear from all of you and what you do. And there's a lot of commonality that we have. And that's really fantastic. I thought what would be a good thing to do would be to, first, I'm going to unshare my screen. So I had to figure out how to do that. Let's go down here. One second. Here we go. Stop share. All right, beautiful. So I thought a good way to handle this is to go through my background so you can see where I came from and how I came to some of the conclusions that I came to. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments, as Carol said, feel free to jump in and speak up. I'll be happy to be interrupted, and because I like to hear from all of you as well. But I got my PhD at George Washington University in pharmacology, specializing in brain research. I led a neurology lab at Henry Ford Health System for many years, and also I got into holistic health after I was able to heal my chronic back and hip problem that I developed, and that was a long road to recovery. And I explored a lot of alternative therapies, maybe a dozen or more, and spent a lot of money and a lot of time seeing holistic health related practitioners, all of whom helped to some degree, but nothing really unlocked it until the very end. And when I saw a neuromuscular therapist who specialized in structural balancing the neuromuscular system and the body posture. And that turned out to be, for my case, what really unlocked the whole thing. And I went from being, for more than 6 months being in chronic pain and really having a lousy life to, as all of you who have some pain or know people with pain, you know how challenging it can be. I was out of pain. It was remarkable. I was back to sports and really living life and having fun again. So that's when I decided to broaden my research, because I knew that to get it to penetrate into conventional care with these viable alternative therapies that all of the practitioners I went to were practicing, I needed to get some scientific data, some clinical data. I wasn't a clinician at all. I was a basic laboratory bench scientist, but I taught myself how to do clinical trials. I organized them, I ran them, collected research data on them. And what was interesting was that the first clinical study I did was in chronic migraine headaches. And what I learned in that was that when we recruited our 50 or so chronic migraine headache patients from our headache clinic in Henry Ford Health System, was that everybody was different. And any of you who are with people, everybody's situation is different. I realized that I was doing a single modality to try and help these people with headaches. I had an expert practitioner in the neuromuscular therapy doing for structural balancing. And so we were collecting data on these people, and our data showed that the modality helped, but we really did not eliminate headaches. In very few people do we eliminate headaches. That's always what we want to do: eliminate headaches, eliminate pain, eliminate stress as much as possible, eliminate anxiety, all of those things. And I realized that a single modality is unlikely to be able to interrupt a chronic condition in a vast majority of people. A single modality can work with a lot of people, but in the vast majority, it takes more than a single modality. And so I did a study with chronic back pain, testing acupuncture. Every person so I tested alternative therapies versus conventional physical therapy. And the alternative therapy group received, everybody in that group received chiropractic, acupuncture, neuromuscular therapy, hypnotherapy, and movement education, Feldenkrais movement education. It was 38 visits, 34 contact hours. I thought that's got to really unlock chronic pain for everybody, or a vast majority of people. And I compared that with conventional physical therapy. Now, conventional physical therapy is the first line where people go to from their conventional doc. And that was, we looked for chronic pain elimination. In conventional PT, we had 5% elimination. That meant that 95% of the people required more care. And in the alternative therapy group, which was shocking to me, we only had 16% elimination of chronic back pain. And when I work with back pain patients, I'm more than 90% effective. I mean, I know how to get the job done. It's really quite easy to do, even if people have had surgeries. And so when I saw that, I went, wow, I can probably stand up on a stage and help people without ever touching them better than 16%. So that's what I embarked on trying. And the first study I did in chronic back pain was with Chrysler employees. And in that program, we had these group programs that I led from the stage to more than 2,500 people, were multi-session, usually 10 sessions over the course of 10 to 12 weeks, weekly sessions. And it was pretty remarkable. After the Chrysler study with chronic back pain, we had 55% of the people eliminate their back pain. And that compared to the randomized control group of several hundred people. We had 100 people in the treatment group who received my stage presence and teachings. And then the control group, which was several hundred people, they could do whatever they wanted. They could do chiropractic, acupuncture, physical therapy, drugs, injections. And in that group, 0 people eliminated their chronic pain. So that was a really beautiful randomized controlled study. So it showed me that, and I use a multimodal approach, because I realized from the migraine headache study that a single mode of therapy is not going to be optimal. So I always combine therapies together, and I had to combine therapies that were amenable to stage presentation without putting my hands on people. So I use guided meditation audio tracks to harness the power of the subconscious mind, and also create future visions for I'm pain-free, I'm stress-free, I'm anxiety-free. The future visioning process is vital, because most people don't have a true future vision of I'm going to be pain-free really fast, maybe even tomorrow. They think, I just got to manage my pain, or I'll never get out of pain. And everybody's future, a lot of people's future images are corrupted by their experiences of not being able to get better from whatever they've got. So I work with that true future. I create true future visionings with people, so they create them. And that bypasses the corrupt future vision that they've lived with for so long, which keeps them stuck in place. So there's guided meditation, audio tracks that they listen to. there's a movement education turns out to be really vital because most people, the average person takes between 30,000 and 50,000 repetitive movements every day, walking, sitting and standing, bending and reaching, and on and on. And so, and most people are doing these, performing these repetitive movements incorrectly. So I have videos that show how to do things correctly. I've written instructions. And so that's how people, when I work with them over the internet, they can get better because they do it themselves. They have to do it themselves. There's no magic bullet, as I've said before. At least I don't believe there is for the majority of people. So I did these group programs, and then I decided to have a one-on-one practice online, and that's what I've developed now. I've also done online clinical programs that I'm going to be rolling out soon, later on this year, for chronic pain relief, stress relief. Also, I have a surgery preparation and accelerated recovery program because there's way over 1 million surgeries every year. So people need help with that because a lot of people, when they go into surgery, are consciously scared or they consciously confident and subconsciously scared. And so it's important to remove that subconscious component. So that surgery program is online. It's all guided meditation audio tracks, and I beta tested that. It works really great. So that's my background up till now. I've got this online clinical practice. If you know somebody who's got chronic pain that they've been struggling with for years, or an ill health condition that they've been struggling with, they're stuck in it, I can help them get unstuck, and they can get a consultation with me by just going to the drbobtalks.com, hooking up with the calendar and requesting an appointment. And then I can have a conversation with them and tell them how I can help them directly, or if I can't, I can send them in a really good direction. So that's my background. And I don't know, I can talk more, Carol. I've gone on for about 13 minutes.
I have a question.
Yeah, go.
You said to interrupt with questions, so I always have questions. Okay, so I pretty much have them in control, but I do suffer from migraines and headaches. I have certain triggers that are environmental and food related. And you said you do movement and sound therapies. Is there something specifically you do for headaches? Because I know other people that suffer from headaches as well. I mean, most of the triggers I know, but some I do not.
Okay, so tons of people have migraine headaches. When I lecture groups, it's like 30% are chronic back pain and 15% are migraine headaches and other sorts of headaches. So what's interesting about headache is that the headache comes on when a person crosses the threshold from going from no headache to headache. So what are the inputs to going over threshold? There's many inputs, as you already said, Phyllis. You talked about environmental factors, nutritional factors, whatever, stress factors. So one of the factors that people don't realize is that, and I teach movement re-education for the head, the neck, the shoulders, for the whole body, really. When muscles go into excess chronic contraction, and we don't realize that they do that. And the chronic contractions are oftentimes, in fact, most of the time, imbalanced. So you have 80% chronic contraction over here that you don't realize is going on, 20% on this side going on. It creates an imbalance, which then can lead to the headache, right? So when we take the neuromuscular system, take the muscles that are in chronic contraction, I have a technique called effective muscle release. I've documented that. I have videos that show how to perform these movements. They're simple movements. People can perform them in a wheelchair. But actually, most of them are designed to do in bed or sitting on the edge of the bed, because it's hard to avoid, doing them when, you got to go to sleep, you got to get into bed. So I realized that when I revamped them, to have them being done in the bed and at the side of the bed or in a chair, that really helped people be compliant, because like, okay, here I'm on the edge of the bed. It's time to do my effective muscle release routines. And so, you can unlock muscles in your legs that take you out of headache. So it's really a whole body phenomenon. And as all of us know, it's mind, body, spirit, the whole being that we have to address. So I address that through true future vision. Oh, the other thing about headache I want to say, Phyllis, is that, by the way, if there's questions related to what I'm saying, just give me a signal so you can, because I'll circle back always and finish the question with Phyllis. So one of the things that happens with just about everybody I've met who has a headache is this. The headache starts to come on, the trigger triggers, and then the headache starts to come on. So the person doesn't say, oh, there's the headache, it's coming on. I have a great opportunity to interrupt this. I can relax myself and I can have this headache disappear in moments, right? That's not the true future vision. The corrupt future, that's the true future vision. The corrupt future vision is, uh-oh, it's coming on. How bad is it going to be? How much is going to mess up my day or my week or whatever it happens to be? Some people are in migraine for 4 days. I love to talk to those people. I've had people on the phone that I can get out of migraine just by talking to them for about 30, 45 minutes. I can get them out of their headache right then. So on the phone. So that's another thing, that the future vision, like next time you feel a headache coming on, it's like, okay, it's time to really relax myself, do some breathing, have to set up my true future vision called thank you headache for coming on and letting me know that I'm stressed and out of balance or whatever it happens to be, certainly out of balance. And I'm going to bring myself back into the balance really quickly. And headache, you're just going to disappear. Thank you for the notice. It's like an alarm that goes off. You know what I'm saying? So does that make sense, Phyllis?
Yes. Yes. And I love connecting people, and a great referral. There are organizations for migraines.
That would be
I
great.
don't know if you ever looked into that to speak at, but I'd have to look them up. I had a friend that was one of the board members of a huge headache foundation in Chicago. But there's so many people that suffer from headaches. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to make a note to look that up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this can be done over a large group webinar for sure. I mean, I've done it before. I did it for, chronic. I had a program called Stress and Pain-Free Living. So we took all comers with everything and we did it online. So people had headaches, back pain, neck pain, anxiety, fatigue, sleep disturbance. I love working with people with sleep disturbance. That's fun because it's easy. It can be easy when you give people the tools. They can really make it work for themselves. But that future visioning process where the headache patient says, uh-oh, this is going to be bad. They start tensing up more. They start driving into the headache pattern. The system that I developed, I call automatic pattern recognition and interruption system. So I'm just going to talk for a moment about that. So everybody who's stuck and with the result.
Question with headaches.
What's that?
Question with headaches before we move on.
Okay, go ahead.
The next topic.
Yeah.
How does nutrition come into play, or say like parasites come into play in your body?
Well, I'm not an expert on parasites, but there are ways to eliminate the parasites and with using holistic health practices. So that's something that people should look into for sure. Nutrition, I mean, most people who get headaches, aside from all of you, because you guys probably eat really well, but poor nutrition can be a massive contributor to headaches. But it's the global pattern. It's the global automatic pattern that people have. We all have automatic patterns that have many components. The dysfunctional parts of the pattern are, our corrupt future vision, like, uh-oh, here it comes. I'll never get out of pain. I'll always have stress just consumes me. In my communication with my spouse or significant other or my kids is off. It'll never get better. They're just, they're doing this and that. There's so many parts of the automatic pattern, whether it's movement, static neuromuscular contractions, postural misalignments. People with headaches, some of them have forward heads where the head is so forward, they carry so much tension back here. And if you want to get together with somebody and just stand up normal, and have them look at you from the side and see how forward your head is. The dowager hump that many people get, it's more pronounced than women, than men, but men get them too. It's a ridge, and it's basically a vertebrae where the vertebrae above it has gone forward. And so you get this ridge that's there. That's forward head posture. And then anybody who's got that carries enormous amounts of tension in the neck, the back of the neck, the shoulders. So that has to be eliminated. There's problems with ergonomics, like, Are we sitting at our computers, which is do we get up from our computers every 30 minutes and walk around? Do we practice proper walking? I teach proper walking as a normal part of my programs, no matter what somebody comes to me with, because the average person is taking between 5,000 and 10,000 steps a day, which contributes to that 30,000 to 50,000 repetitive movements that people are taking every day. And almost everybody's walking improperly. And so if the improper walking is dysfunctional enough, it'll take somebody, it'll lock them into pain or keep them or cause them to go over threshold. Like in migraine headaches with women, sometimes the menstrual cycle will make somebody go over threshold, and the headache goes away when the menstrual cycle's down. So that means that what we want to do with headache patients that have these migraines related to menstrual cycle is take them so far below the threshold that the menstrual cycle doesn't impact them at all. So I don't know if that helps. So it's really, I'm moving sort of into the next topic, because the automatic pattern has to be disrupted and reorganized so a person can really, they have to interrupt their own patterns. They have to recognize when the automatic pattern is kicking in so they can say, there it is. So I don't know if I've answered your question, Phil. Maybe not, because I'm not a parasite expert. I just know there's ways of handling that, and that can be easily researched and found out.
No, you answered part of it. Thank you.
Okay. So this automatic pattern recognition and interruption system is so important in my view, because everybody who is stuck wants to make changes of some kind, right? I mean, how many of you guys would like to make a change in some area of your life? Some area, right? Yeah, there's always some area where change. And if we can't make that change, we haven't been making that change, it means that we have a corrupt future vision about it. That's part of it. Corrupt future visions are part of the automatic patterns. But to make any change, you need two things to make change. You need new awareness, and new awareness of the right type, because somebody who's stuck in a particular place, their level of awareness will not allow them to make a change. Because if they would make that change, it would be, if they could, they would make the change, it'd be easy. Like stress, for instance. Stress is automatically generated from within us by triggers. It's either triggers of our thoughts or triggers of external events, and triggers of neuromuscular dysfunction that create the stress that causes to generate internal stress. So without new awareness, and stress is an automatic pattern. Stress is part of the global automatic pattern. So to recognize, and people don't recognize a lot of times when they're exhibiting stress, when they have stress, but sometimes it's so buried deep in the subconscious, it doesn't get revealed as stress. It's just the way life is. The fish swimming in water, who doesn't know about what the water is like until they jump out of the water and splash back in. They have new awareness for water. So I help people gain new awareness for these automatic patterns that they have. And each person is different. So that's why it's so fun to be an automatic pattern recognition detective, because I can help people recognize their patterns themselves. And then I can teach them specifically how to interrupt those patterns. And once they do that, once anything automatic is interrupted, guess what? People are free from the pattern, and they're free to make changes if they have an effective change strategy. So you need new awareness of the right type to make changes, and you need effective change strategy. An effective change strategy, or multiple effective change strategies that you can implement and make, and so to get away from this dysfunctional automatic pattern, the dysfunctional components of the automatic pattern. So interrupting automatic patterns help people live life freely. Free choice comes from, because if somebody's in an automatic pattern, they may be doing things they want to do. They may have all the resources they need to do what they want to do. But if it's part of an automatic pattern, they may not get the full freedom, joy, and be fully self-expressed in their lives, because it's part of an automatic pattern. So when we interrupt those, it's beautiful. And that's one of the things that turns me on, is I get to be with people when they recognize their automatic patterns, and then they use what I teach them about interrupting them, and then they can choose what they want to replace functional activities. I'll make suggestions, of course, a laundry list of suggestions. They can pick and choose and develop their own functional activities to put in place. So that's the automatic pattern recognition interruption system, everything under that umbrella, whether it's guided meditation, audio tracks, movement education, effective muscle release, future visioning process. Every time I teach anybody anything, it has communication. There's a communication module because almost all stress comes in communication, miscommunication stress. So people really need to understand that there's so many triggers that occur in communication. So I help them with all those different components. It's underneath the umbrella of automatic pattern recognition and interruption. Yes, Carol.
So as you're talking, it's not only on a physical basis, but even with your business, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking, how many patterns do we have that's not correct in where we want to go with our business, why we're not successful to go to the next level? There's underlying currents going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, well, who's the business? We're the business, right?
Right.
And we're communicating with the people who are around us in our business. If we have people with us, or if we're a solopreneur, we have our thoughts, and that create all these patterns about our thoughts. Thoughts are about everything, about our personal life, about our business life. So you're absolutely right, Carol. And that's something that I deal with people, because you have to deal with it all.
Right.
Whatever's triggering somebody to have a dysfunctional component of their automatic pattern, we want them to be aware of that. We want to reveal that to them. And one other thing that's very important is that the automatic patterns reside. Where do they reside in the mind? They reside in the subconscious mind. So we need to reveal those automatic patterns from the subconscious, which is why guided meditation is important, hypnotherapy, visualization, guided imagery, whatever you want to call any of these components. I always everything I do with the mind-body connection has a language basis, because the subconscious mind is, for the most part, constructed in language. So you want to become a language expert, a simple language expert, because I don't like anything that's complex. So I have simple language tools, simple communication tools that are vital for making sure that we harness the power of our mind, have the thoughts that serve us. By the way, it's really interesting. When people have a corrupt future vision, the corrupt future vision has them being a certain way, like being afraid or being unsure or being doubtful. And that I call those corrupt ways of being, because who wants to be that way, right?
Right.
Angry, irritated, frustrated. Those are all what I call corrupt ways of being. So the corrupt future vision has a way of being about it. And the way of being is driving all the actions that somebody takes. All the actions are driven by a way of being. There's no way around that. Any action that we take, like if somebody, let's say somebody strikes their kid or their spouse, right, in anger, the way of being is being angry. And you can't be being angry and be loving at the same time. It's impossible. You can have the intellectual thought of loving somebody, but you can't have a way of being expressing love when you hit them or yell at them, right? So the way of being is vital, and the way of being drives all actions. So I'm going to ask you all this question. Do you think that is this thinking and action? That's my question. Is thinking and action? What do you think?
Yes,
Well,
if it's in your conscious mind.
It's 50-50. So, get yes or no. So you say yes, because why?
Yes, if it's in your conscious mind.
Okay, what if it's not in your conscious mind? Thinking occurs in your conscious mind, right?
Yes.
So you would say yes in your conscious mind. Anybody else have a thought about it? As you think
I
about
used
it?
to say, when you shake a Coke, you get a Coke,
Okay.
because it's
But how do you get a Coke when you shake it? What do you have to do to get it?
you have to actively activate something within you. So when you see somebody who just, you say something and they light up like a Christmas tree, not necessarily the best way that you would want to receive, but it's always been there. It's been incubating and bubbling. It just so happens you pop the top.
So let me ask you this question. Yeah. So let me ask you this question. Does thinking occur over time? Yes or no?
So I took a class.
Are you thinking right now? Or who's thinking right now? Just raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're thinking right now. Okay, Lori, you're not thinking right now. You're okay, Lori. You're yeah. So now, when I asked the question till now, did time pass? Yeah. So thinking occurs over time, and that defines actions. Actions occur over time, right? Now, the way of so and now do results, when you get a result, is there a time component to it? Because you got the result, or you didn't get the result when you asked the question. That doesn't occur over time. It's like, I'm holding my water bottle. Okay.
Right.
You can, there it is. Okay, I'm holding my water bottle, right? So that the result is I'm holding my water bottle. That's not occurring over time. So the result occurs after some time. Now, if I'm holding my water bottle, you don't know if I'm putting the water bottle down or if I'm picking it up and going to drink out of it, right? Until I take an action, like right now. Okay, I'm drinking out of it. So actions occur over time. That's really vital to know. So, and what drives all actions? I said it earlier. What drives all actions?
The stories we tell ourselves.
The way of being that we express, right? So if somebody's being angry, they're going to have angry related thoughts. If somebody's being loving, they're going to have loving related thoughts, right? So it's amazing. So I have a technique called instantaneous thought shifting. I have a whole little module on that. I want people to know that if they don't like the thoughts they're having, if they don't agree with them, they don't want them, they'd rather not have them, then all they have to do is take a look at what's the way of being that I'm expressing right now, because ways of being are expressed moment to moment to moment to moment. All of us are expressing ways of being every moment of every day. What's the way of being I'm expressing? Oh, I'm expressing being afraid. Whoa. Okay. So now I'm going to shift. I teach people how to shift their way of being. I'm going to shift to being accepting, confident, and enthusiastic, let's say, for instance. I like it that because it's ACE, being accepting. Because being accepting is so important. By the way, with headaches, most people who get a trigger for a headache, they start resisting the headache right away. And resisting the headache is part of the dysfunctional automatic pattern that keeps the headache locked in place. So we're either being resistant or we're being accepting. So when the trigger to anything comes, it's like, okay, the trigger's there. Okay, I'm being accepting of that. With or without agreement. You don't have to agree that it's there. Nobody wants to agree that they should have a migraine coming on, right? But they can be accepting that, okay, there it is. There's the trigger. I have an opportunity right now. Wow, I can actually change. I can change the automatic pattern that I used to express. And now I can have that headache disappear so fast. It's wonderful. You know what I mean? So being accepting is really vital. That's why I say it's first and foremost, because resistance, some of you may know this, resistance causes what? It rhymes with resistance. Resistance causes what?
Persistence.
Persistence, yeah. Yeah. So resistance over time causes persistence of whatever we were resisting, like headache, like sleep disturbance, waking up in the middle of the night and saying, oh, no, crap, it's 3 a.m. and I never go back to sleep. I never go back to sleep at 3 a.m. When I wake up. So I wonder how bad tomorrow's going to be. How long am I going to be awake right now? My mind is racing. How many of you ever had racing mind that you wanted to just quiet down? Yeah. So I teach people how to quiet the mind too, because that's part of the dysfunctional automatic pattern. And anything you don't want to be doing is part of your dysfunctional automatic pattern. Eating the chocolate cake when you know it's not good for you is part of the dysfunctional automatic pattern. So who besides me loves chocolate cake? So, yeah. So that's the automatic pattern recognition interruption system, and being accepting. So the way learning about ways of being, and that they're generated from within, moment to moment to moment, and they can be shifted like that because it's moment to moment to moment. Actions can be shifted after the way of being is shifted, and results. So you can analyze, if people aren't getting the results they want, they can say, okay, why am I not getting the results? Well, let me take a look at the actions I took while I was watching television. I was out playing around doing this and that. Okay, I didn't get the results I wanted, but the actions occurred over time. So looking at the not getting the result is the longest place to look to figure out what went wrong, right? I didn't get the result. Analyzing actions, am I taking, that's why future visioning is so important, creating milestones along the way. Am I meeting my milestones? Am I taking the actions that I said I was going to take? Well, I didn't take the actions. Well, why not? Well, what was my way of being? Because the way of being drives all actions. So what was the way of being? So you can either analyze your way of being moment to moment. Most people can tell when they're frustrated, right? You can tell when you're frustrated, right? And we don't have I don't think any of us have a strong commitment to being frustrated. However, when we are being frustrated, when we're generating being frustrated, it's part of the dysfunction. It's a dysfunctional component of the automatic pattern. So we want to shift that. So we can shift it like that. As soon as we recognize it, we can shift it. First and foremost, it's important to be accepting of the fact that we were generating moments ago being, up until that moment, being frustrated, being accepting. And then you can shift. Once you being accepting leads to being free. So it's all about being free. Everything to me is all about being free. We want to be free to do and be whoever we want to be, do whatever we want to do, get all the results we want. So that's why the way of being is so important. I teach that as a core fundamental aspect, along with future visioning and and the automatic pattern and recognizing automatic patterns and how to interrupt them, and then how to replace the dysfunctional components with functional components. Carol.
The future visioning, when you do that process, does the person, is it in layers that they believe it? So sometimes you go, oh, I want to do this and this and this, but they're afraid of it, and they're resistant to that bigger vision to show up.
Great. Yeah, that's great. So it's important to teach people to set up their future vision when I say being authentic, or I heard someone say, who said maybe carry your true self, right? It's really important to be your true self when you're setting up the future vision. If somebody who's being afraid will never, they'll set up a future vision that they think they can produce as an afraid person, even though they don't know they're doing that. So the sky is the limit when you generate your true self. Being accepting is first and foremost most important. The second one, in my view, is being forgiving. We got to forgive ourselves. For when I've given lectures to hundreds of people, I'll say, how many of you have not forgiven somebody? And almost everybody raises their hand. Okay, how many of you have not forgiven somebody else? And maybe half the people might raise their hand. How many of you for not forgiving yourself for something? Nearly every hand goes up all the time. So that's really critical. So being accepting to create being free, being forgiving, and everything, as we all know, starts with self. Being accepting of self first, and I can be accepting of everything else, including circumstances and triggers and whatever else is going on in the world. The results of the world, man. It's challenging right now to be accepting of the results of the world, but we don't have to agree. That's the problem. When people think they have to agree with something, they have to resist. If they feel they can't be accepting of something, or they don't agree with something, they can't accept it. Therefore, it generates resistance. And to me, that's the formula for conflict and war. Basically, people are being resistant because they can't agree. They think that because they can't agree, they can't accept. But we can be accepting without agreeing, and that's really important. So I always say it's being accepting with or without agreement. Secondly, being forgiving of self first and foremost, then forgiving of others, and forgiving. And people need to understand. Some people think being forgiving is condones something. It doesn't condone anything. It's actually a self-nurturing act. It's a way of us helping ourselves harness our power, right? And then being forgiving gives people access to loving others, and being loved by others. Because withholding forgiveness is what keeps, which is a big wall in the way of love being expressed and bidirectional. And then the third one says, accepting, forgiving, loving. Loving is so important, but without being accepting and forgiving, it's really hard to be loving all the time with everyone, right? And then being confident is so important. When I teach people about being and generating ways of being, and I say, what does C stand for? It's wild. Almost everybody cannot get that, because they don't get that, and we've gone over it and over it and over it and over it. It's because that's one of the hardest things for people to generate from within is being confident.
Yeah.
So they just want to understand it's part of their dysfunctional automatic pattern. But no confidence is coming. It's just not happening. But with training, when they train themselves, they can generate it all day long. And that translates into everything. And then if the last one I have is being happy or joyful or enthusiastic, energetic, E. So I have AFL-CH, and I invented that or came up with that little acronym because AFL is the American Football League. And I went to college on a football scholarship and played football and used to love football completely. I still am addicted to the game, but I just can't get over the violence of it right now. And it destroyed my body when I played in college. But so there's AFL, American Football League, and then there's CH, which are the initials of a license plate in one company in Europe, and one country in Europe. And I bet one person on the call at least will know what the initials for CH are. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you.
The Czech.
Close. It borders on Germany, and it borders on France, and it borders on Austria. It's right in the middle there. And it's one of the few countries, maybe the only country, that did not declare sides in World War II. Let's see what else.
Well,
Liechtenstein?
All the banks are there.
Liechtenstein.
How about Switzerland? There you go. Yeah. So
I've been
AFL,
there.
yeah. So you'll always remember this now. AFL, American Football League, CH, Switzerland. Accepting, forgiving, loving, confident, happy. So and that people learn to generate that. So when they're expressing a corrupt way of being, I teach them how to recognize that and how to interrupt that corrupt way of being and how to generate what I call their true self. Accepting, forgiving, whatever they wanted. They can choose to do their own. I always give them the suggestion, AFL-CH or ACE, A for being accepting, C for being confident is so vital, and E for being empathetic is important for a lot of people. Enthusiastic is important for a lot of people. So it could be ACEE, because empathy, self-empathy is so important, which is like self-nurturing. So that gives you a little feel for the way of being and how way of being drives all actions. And there's corrupt ways of being, which we would rather not express moment to moment, but sometimes we have done that in the past. Then there's a whole language component too. We may or may not get to that. Has anybody got any questions though?
I think what I'm envisioning as you were talking just now, how the body could totally start to relax.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in my view, the key to total, well, the problem, there's one little problem with that. A lot of the body can relax, but when people go to sleep at night, some of their muscles are on automatically. They don't let go. Some of them let go and some of them don't let go, which is why people oftentimes in the morning wake up more stiff than when they went to bed. And the pain is different in the morning than when they went to bed. So that's why the effective muscle release process is so important, because we have to take these muscles that are in excess. They should be normally this length, and they're hyper contracted and they're burning energy. And they burn it all night long. That's why some people can sleep 8 hours and they wake up super fatigued, because the muscles are on all the time. And we have to train them through effective muscle release movement routines to relax and release. Once that happens, that's an important component to whole body and whole mind body relaxation, because it's all connected, it's all integrated. It's pretty wild. So
one of the things recently, within the last 2 years, when I had an x-ray, the curvature of my neck was very limited.
Yeah, I think you probably have forward head posture. But
and so what I've been doing is I sleep on a small roll every night, and I've got almost 45 degrees back.
Nice, really nice. I'm designing a pillow. I need an investor. I'm designing a pillow to solve that whole thing for everybody. All they got to do is lay on this pillow for like 10 minutes in the evening, and then get rid of it and go to bed. In the bed, they lay on the pillow. And then in the morning, they grab it and lay on it for another 10 minutes. And they do that. That'll take care of that forward head posture, which is so debilitating. That the forward head posture leads to something in old age that you see so many people. It starts with a W. So think about what that would be. Old age, forward head, rounded shoulders, hunched over, and they have to use a W.
A walker.
A walker, exactly. The forward head posture leads to a walker. So if somebody takes a picture of you from the side, with your camera, and your head is forward of the spine, you can look at the ears, and you can look at the ears, and the ear should be over the shoulder, unless the shoulders are rounded. But if the ear is dramatically forward, then that's a forward head posture. And it's if you go to an assisted living facility, 90+% of the people are on walkers. If you look at their heads, they're all hunched over. The heads, it starts with the head,
Right.
and it goes to the shoulders, and then the shoulders round, and they get kyphosis, which is the rounding of the shoulders.
And now with our technology, it's starting earlier.
But yeah, oh, totally, yeah. You look at the kids. Oh, it just
Bad. Yeah.
yeah.
What do you recommend as far as exercises for that?
Effective muscle release routines that I teach people. I mean, I don't know how else to do it, because exercise alone usually reinforces the dysfunctional automatic pattern.
Right.
People exercise in a dysfunctional way that doesn't support. And also, anytime people are doing exercise is mostly a muscle contractive pattern, right? And that goes against the effective muscle release pattern. People who lift weights, they might do a curl where instead of straightening the arm, they do the curl. They don't go all the way up. They don't go all the way down. So the muscles, they're never relaxing the muscle. The muscle's designed in that movement to be on all the time. So one thing that people could do for the forward head, if they felt like doing something on their own, as aside from calling me and talking about it, engaging with me, is to lay on the bed and just sort of try and hang the head over the bed, but just a little bit. The thing is, if you go far, it's an alarm system. The muscles are just going to hold it there. So you got to use future visioning too. You got to say, okay, brain, the mind is the control center. The brain does what the mind tells it to do, right? So that's why we harness the power of the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind and the conscious mind are aligned, and both. Okay, brain, this is what we want you to do. We want you to relax these muscles in the front of the neck that are in hypercontraction. Give a break to these muscles back here that are always tense, right? And I'm going to just hang my head very slightly. For some people, laying flat in the bed is enough at the beginning, because their head is forward. They need that pillow under there, because if they're not comfortable, if they put their head down. But keep in mind, the cerebellum back here is elevating the head a little bit off the bed. So if you're comfortable start out laying on the bed without a pillow. If anybody sleeps on their back or spends any time on their back, they should not have a pillow, because the pillow promotes the forward head posture, the shortening of these front of the neck muscles. And nobody, I mean, I work the front of the neck. If I'm hands-on with somebody, I'll work, but I'll teach people how to work the front of their neck so that they can actually get the muscles. By the way, if you did this, if you took the Adam's apple, moved it over and pushed in, the pain probably would be on you guys, because you've never done it before. Push in there hard, it's going to be like, ouch, wow. But once you train those muscles to relax and release, there's no more discomfort when you do that, no matter how hard you push, really. So working on relaxing and releasing. So the mind says to the brain, okay, brain, work on relaxing these front of the neck muscles. I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to envision, I'm going to future vision, true future vision. These muscles are relaxing and letting go, right? And if you want to get fancy about it, I'll give you a tip. You can lay on the edge of the bed, just very slightly hang your head over. The cerebellum just hangs over, so your head is in line with the spine. You can actually, this is how you do all effective muscle release routines, are simple. So you can put your hand on the front of your neck while you're laying down, and you can just very slightly raise your head. You can feel those muscles contract like that. You can actually put your hand on your forehead, put your hand, the other hand on the front of the neck, and you can push your head push your forehead into this muscle. You can feel the neck muscles contract. Okay, so you can feel the neck muscles contract, and then you can push back with your fist, and these are still contracted, and then you can relax and release. These muscles will get nice and softer. They'll let go. And that's a secret to all of the effective muscle release routines. And that's why exercise can't really do it. It won't do it. It just reinforces all the, all the
And-
automatic traction that's going on.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest speaker. We so appreciate you.
It's my pleasure. It's really my pleasure. Thank you for being with me. And as I said, I've got the contact information. I'll just put up that thing real quick again if you didn't catch it.
Yeah.
It's in the chat, but let's just go like this. See if I can do this. Go down here. See if
Does
I can.
anybody have any last thoughts? What's a takeaway that you're gonna go home with tonight? What's one takeaway? Lori, what's one of your takeaways?
Well, I'm definitely interested in what he was just talking about at the end here, because I do have neck pain because I am at the computer almost all day long. I'm with people all over the world, networking and working with people in what I do. And so I definitely want to learn more about that. I'll probably like to connect with you, Bob, and
Yeah, just keep it. Yeah, definitely.
talk with you more, because
That,
that'd be great.
you'd be surprised how easy it is to help that. It's really,
Yeah.
but also just, I'll tell you what, everybody, okay, try this. Put your hand on the back of your cerebellum, the most protruding backward part, and then just sit normally like you would normally sit. And, even close your eyes while you do this, and slowly move your hand down towards your shoulders, right? And see if you feel a ridge. If you feel its stopping point. So see if you feel a stopping point where you can feel a protrusion, the bony protrusion.
Mhm.
So who can feel that?
I think I do.
Yes. Who said that?
I did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sure. Almost everybody's got it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is make sure it's not progressing.
Right.
And that's one of the things. So you would want to work on getting your head back over your shoulders. And I would teach you what you need to do that. But also there's a lot of other things involved here. Like, I mean, the repetitive movements of daily living, walking, sitting, standing, bending, and reaching, it's all part of this dysfunctional pattern. In your case, Lori, is playing into the neck discomfort,
Yeah.
So yeah. Who else felt that little ridge? Anybody else? Any of you guys?
I used to have a larger one, but now that I've been doing these for the last 2 years, I've been actively changing that situation.
Right.
Really, really good. We could accelerate that if you want, Carol. So
Yeah.
by the way, that was a good idea. I think Carrie took a phone shot of this thing here, this little slide. That's a good idea. If anybody else wants to do that, might be a good idea.
Yeah.
That ridge feels like it's more on the right side than the left side. Can it favor a side?
Yeah, absolutely. That means you're really crooked. Sorry to say. Yeah, but as you do, everybody, for the most part, when I talk in black and white, so everybody's crooked. Maybe it's not 100%. It's 90%, 95%. There's things going on with people that are asymmetrical and causing problems. But when you start to do whole body effective muscle release, you start to get balance in your body structure. So, you don't have tilted shoulders, you don't have rotations in the shoulders or hips. And the proper walking is really vital, because when people walk, the dysfunctional walking is either leading to the maintenance of the dysfunctional body posture, including forward head, rotated shoulders, overly flexed hips, back pain, too much lumbar curve, all this stuff, kyphosis, rounding the shoulders. The walking pattern, the dysfunctional walking pattern, is oftentimes, more often than not, a strong contributor to maintaining all of these misalignments, right? So you go to somebody, I mean, I love chiropractors for acute problems, because when you get an acute problem, you go there and they take care of it, and they're less effective with chronic problems. Like if you've got chronic back pain for 3-5 years, and you start seeing a chiropractor, it's not always the case that they can get you to eliminate that pain, because they don't work on this effective muscle release strategy. They're working with moving bones around. That's the way they re-educate the soft tissue. And that's, in my opinion, an inefficient way to re-educate the soft tissue, because as soon as you get up out off the table and you start walking around, within a certain period of time, whether it's an hour or a day or 2 days or longer, the pattern that was causing the discomfort reappears, right? So that's why it's really important to work on the soft tissues, like I'm talking about, the effective muscle release, whole body, because I know a practitioner who works exclusively on the feet, and when she does her footwork, that can dramatically alter the whole body posture. So
Yeah.
there's all kinds of ways to get at this, but I like to do simple, effective, whole body, teach whole body routines, which somebody can do themselves. I give them the videos, I give them the written instructions with pictures, because nobody should have to rely on me to help them stay out of discomfort or stay aligned or stay in their new true future vision. They need to do that themselves. So that's why I always say people are or become their own healers. That's what I want to help people to do. So any other questions from anybody?
Any
Have you
other
heard of the
takeaways?
Egoscue method? Egoscue
sorry.
method?
I'm sorry, say
Have you
again?
ever heard, yeah, have you heard of the Egoscue method before?
I've heard of that. There are a lot of great methods out there. So.
That's one I've studied and definitely was interested in getting more involved with. But it's it's a natural, holistic way. They have different positions that you go into for different healing of different pain problems with your body and things. I'm really
Right. No.
intriguing.
There's a lot of great ways to get at different parts of different components of the dysfunctional automatic pattern.
It's all about aligning. It's that alignment that you've talked about, getting your body in alignment so that it's not crooked, it's not out of place.
Exactly. So it's also a matter of, but that's why I deal with the dysfunctional movement patterns.
Yeah.
Because, it could take 5 years to eliminate chronic pain through going to see different practitioners, or it could take, 5 weeks.
Yeah.
If somebody learns how to do these things. So everything I do, that's why I say what I do is truly multimodal and holistically oriented. You got to deal with the mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, soul, the whole together,
Right.
So people, you have to deal with people's belief systems, and it's the detective. You find out what their dysfunctional components are, what's keeping them locked in place, And then the two things, teach them new awareness of the right type, and the automatic pattern. The APRI system, the automatic pattern recognition interruption system, is the effective change strategy. Everything underneath that umbrella is part of the effective change strategy that I've shown works with the research data, the clinical data that I collected. And during the introduction, from those programs in aggregate, we took on all chronic pain conditions: back pain, headache, neck, shoulder, knee. 40% of the chronic pain conditions that came into all the programs with the several thousand people, 40% of those conditions were eliminated. They eliminated their chronic pain condition, right? And most people came in with who came in with one chronic pain condition had more than one. Most people had more than one. So, the data was really, I'm just going to say it was spectacular. There's not been, because we track elimination of chronic pain. Going from a 8 to a 4 is fine. It's helpful, but it's not what we want, really. It's not the true future vision. The true future vision is 8 to 0, fully functional, higher performance level than we had even before we started having pain. That's like and most people need to train themselves to envision true future visions like that. They need to adjust their way of being to be able to generate that true future vision and then live towards it. Because the future vision is always dictating the way of being in each present moment. If it's, I'm in trouble, well, we're going to be afraid. If it's, wow, I got this, we're going to be confident. See what I mean? Yeah. So it's the true future vision, really, that dictates the way of being moment to moment. We can generate, so we have to recognize the way of being we're expressing. It's either a true way of being or it's a corrupt way of being. If we recognize it, that's the best place to recognize it, because you say, wow, I just yelled at my kid or whatever. That's a corrupt way of being. I'm going to shift to my true self. Ace, let's just say, being accepting of the fact that I yelled at my kid for the 100th time or 1,000,000th time or whatever. I'm being confident that I can repair the relationship, and I'm being enthusiastic for it, and I'm being empathetic to myself and the kid I yelled at. And then I gotta go clean up what I caused.